Welcome back, you all. It's summertime. A lot of people are going on road trips, and if you're going on a road trip, you know the hangries hit you after a few hours on the road, and you need to have some good healthy snack options in the car, and it's a bonus if they are budget friendly. So here are a couple of recipes that I'm going to throw together. They're easy to throw together and fairly healthy as well. And I will also be walking into a gas station at the end and just showing you all a couple of options that I would consider if I were going on a road trip and trying to be conscious of my spending, but also having some delicious treats for on the road. The first thing we're going to be making are these peanut butter chocolate chip balls, and I will have the recipes for all of these posted in the description below, but I'm gonna turn you around and then I'll show you what ingredients we're going to be using and we'll get to making this. For these balls, you are going to want some cereal. I have here some Cheerios. The recipe I think recommends Rice Krispie treats, but this is what I have. And then some butter, some old-fashioned oats, honey, some peanut butter, you can use chunky or smooth, and then just some chocolate chips. So we're gonna get to going. First, we're gonna start heating up our pan. I am gonna be halving this recipe, so I just have my little recipe written down so I can reference it, but the whole recipe will be posted below. First up, we're going to be adding 3 tablespoons of honey. Now, if you didn't know, you can spray your spoon with some non-stick spray, and then when you measure out sticky ingredients like honey or Karo syrup, it won't stick to the spoon. Now for our honey, and that's all we have left that dripped out of there. Next up, I'm putting 2 tablespoons of this peanut butter in. It's coming right out. Now, I am spraying this tablespoon after every use just so that it doesn't stick. So it really seems to help so that it comes out smoothly without having a ton sticking left in the spoon. Then a tablespoon of butter. You can see it's all kind of melting together here. Now, I forgot to mention the recipe did call for dried cranberries, but I don't have dried cranberries on hand. I used to have raisins, but I just used the last ones up. So we are instead of going without that and just adding the chocolate chips that it calls for. Now we're just gonna turn off our stove. We're gonna add in a 1/2 cup of oats and a 1/2 cup of our cereal. Now we're just going to let this cool. I'm going to set it aside onto a separate table. Now I've covered a sheet pan with a little bit of aluminum foil. You could also use parchment paper. And we're going to add in our 2 tablespoons of chocolate chips. I'm just kind of eyeballing this one. I feel like chocolate chips are one of those ingredients you don't measure very often. That's about 2 tablespoons. Now we'll just mix it up. Mine's a little drier than yours will probably be, just because with videoing and everything, you end up sometimes cooking things a little longer than they're supposed to. I did rapidly find out that the cookie scoop is the way to go. If you're trying to roll these together, good luck. This stuff is really sticky, and honestly, in the recipe it says to wait for 2 minutes, but like for it to cool, but I think it needs more time than that because this has been 5 minutes and the chocolate chips are kind of melting in, so even 10 minutes waiting time before adding the chocolate chips would probably be better. Oh, and if you're having trouble with the things falling apart, if you add just a teaspoon more of honey into the mixture and stir it in, it should help it to, you know, loosen up a little bit so that you can scoop them more easily and that they'll stick together more easily. And this is the finished product. We're gonna let these cool, well, set up, I suppose, and then we are going to try one out and see how it is. Full disclosure, don't let your stuff overheat because when it cooked too much, it made these really hard to gather together. So but I think it would be a lot easier had I been watching closer. Alrighty, these balls are done. The peanut butter chocolate chip balls. I can't remember names, I don't know why, but they are delicious. I have already tried one, and they crisped up, the cereal crisped up in the freezer, which was a big plus because the cereal actually was going a little stale. So when you put it in the freezer to set up, it really helps the cereal to crisp up. These are like the perfect road trip snack because they're salty and sweet because the peanut butter salty, sweet from the, you know, the chocolate chips and everything. So highly recommend. It made 12, so I felt like it was a really decent amount for it to make. And I would say it feeds probably 2, and I did a half a recipe. So with a full recipe, you could probably feed 4 very easily on the road for snacking purposes. But yeah, make these. These are really good. This next one is gluten-free and really easy to make. It's gonna be rice crackers. You're gonna need some oil. If you have olive oil, that would add some good flavor, but vegetable oil is fine. Some cooked rice and a pinch of salt. And you're also gonna need a little bit of water. I am doing 1/4 of this recipe because I don't want too many snacks in the house, so that's why I have such a small amount of rice. The full recipe will be posted below. First, you're going to preheat your oven to 180 degrees. Next, into your food processor, you'll add in your rice and about a tablespoon or 2 of water. I don't have a food processor, so we're going to be using this and hope it works. I'm adding in water. And it calls for a very small amount of oil, so we're just putting in a little dash, about a half a teaspoon. I already went ahead and salted my rice when I was cooking it, so it's actually fairly salty. I'm not going to add any more until after they're cooked, and just to make sure they don't get too salty. And we're all set to blend. Now we finished blending it. It still has small pieces in it, but I'm gonna cook it and just see how it does. I don't know how much I could blend this up without having a food processor. Now I've prepared my sheet pan with some parchment paper and dumped out the dough. It says to just take small bits of it and like just place it on the side and line this all out with small bits, small rolled balls. I can't speak today, man. But and then we're gonna press this down with another sheet of parchment paper, and that should help it to not stick. And if you don't want it to stick to your hands, it said to get your hands wet with some water. All right, we have everything all rolled out, or I should say balled out. Now we're going to go ahead and use our other sheet pan just to press down and see how well this does. I'm interested to see how these turn out because I have a niece who is gluten-free, and I would love to be able to make these sometime for her if they turn out really well. They are pressing out rather large. I didn't anticipate them being quite so large, but you can kind of see through the paper. All right, time to see what we got. I'm just gonna kind of shake it as I'm pulling it up, trying to keep things from sticking. It looks like it's doing a very decent job at not sticking, so I think it helps that it has that oil in there. Ta-da! Beautiful! Okay. So you can see they all smooshed down so nicely. Now we are just going to stick it in our oven, and it says to do it until they're getting a little brown along the edges. This is what we ended up with. They are lightly browned and very, very crunchy. So just be aware they are a hard chip, kind of like a caramel corn type of texture. So these were tasty and flavorful. They didn't really need any more salt, and I enjoyed them. Our last recipe today is going to be very simple. It's going to be vegetable chips. So I've got sweet potato, squash, which I've never had squash chips, so we'll see how that goes. zucchini, and a carrot. And then you've got some salt and some oil, and that's all you're gonna need, along with the power of an oven. Oh, and a sheet pan that you've lined with parchment paper. Now, I'm so excited for this recipe because it lets me use this tool, which I haven't gotten to use yet because I just got it on my birthday. So, we're going to use our slicer on this little mandolin thingy or grater, and we're going to start slicing these veggies up. We went ahead and rinsed everything off, washed everything, and cut off the ends. Now all we have to do is just start, you know, shaving away at it. This thing is working even better than I thought it would. I'm so excited about it. This is what being a grown-up means. It means that you get excited for kitchen gadgets like this. Look at these. Looking good. This made like the perfect size. Yeah, see, the squash chips kind of disintegrated a little bit. I think they'll still taste good, but they won't look as pretty, so maybe that's why a lot of places don't seem to do squash chips. Yeah, this thing was so easy to clean. I highly recommend. But I don't have any affiliate links or anything for you, but I will put the link to the thing below just because it was so handy. I'm so excited about it. Now I'm just putting like about 1.5 teaspoons salt on here, maybe a teaspoon actually, maybe not 1.5 teaspoons, and about 1 tablespoon of oil. We're gonna toss to coat, and then we're gonna lay a thin layer of this onto our sheet pan. All right, we got everything has salt on it, everything has oil on it. I'm just gonna lay a thin layer of these out on the sheet. I have no clue on these squash ones if they're gonna turn out or not, so we'll find out. Comment below if you've had squash chips and if you liked them or not, because I had never heard of them. So I've heard of sweet potato, I've heard of beet, I've heard of carrot, haven't heard of squash, so we'll see how they go. These should be fairly healthy given that they are mostly vegetables. And according to the recipe that I am roughly following, it said that these should keep in an airtight container for up to 2 weeks. So I think they'll probably be kind of like the rice crackers in that they'll be best the first few days, like the first 2 days, but they'll probably still be decent several days after, just maybe not as crisp. We're gonna go ahead and pop these in the oven. The oven needs to be preheated to 400 degrees. It's currently at 180 because those rice crackers are still in there. So we're gonna let it preheat to 400 after taking the rice crackers out. And this is our finished product. As you can see, they shrunk down substantially. The sweet potato ones turned out the crispest and I liked them the best, so those are the way to go. The squash ones are a little soggy, but still tasty. Now to head to my local Circle K just to see if we didn't have time to make anything, what we could grab on the go at a Circle K or another gas station. We could get some ramen or some of this oatmeal and heat it up in the microwave they have here. This rice-a-roni's in our budget, about $2. You get a fair amount of pretzels for $6 for this one, and the peanut butter is going to be filling. You get a fair amount of these chips for only $2.29. I'm always a big fan of beef jerky on the road just because it lasts such a long time and it's got a good amount of protein, however a lot of sodium, so if you're trying to watch your sodium intake, maybe this isn't the way to go. But they normally have a store brand that's cheaper than the others. And has anybody tried these blueberry blue diamond almonds? They looked interesting. I'm not sure that I would spend $2.19 on them, but they look good. Nuts are almost always a good filling snack that is going to take a while to eat, which is really what you're looking for on the road. And these sunflower seeds also fit that bill. Taco Supreme sounds delicious, and for only $2.29 you're gonna get a lot of bang for your buck for this. If you're at a gas station, always see if they have a store brand. It's gonna be cheaper 9 times out of 10. Pork rinds can also be a good southern treat to eat on the road, although if you're trying to watch your fat intake, maybe not as much, but you do get a lot for $1.79. Also, my gas station stocks fruit like bananas, apples, and oranges. Make sure you check your refrigerated section. Sometimes they have things like those paninos or these beef and cheddar bites that are about $2, and they will pack a good protein punch and keep you full longer than some of these other carby snacks. One tip at gas stations is to always check that expiration date, because sometimes things have gone bad and you want to find that out before you drive away. Also remember that gas stations tend to have a microwave that you can make use of, so bring some things that you can heat up in that microwave and you can just add on a soda and still keep your meal plan budget in check. Speaking of check out these pickles. I'm not a huge pickle fan, but I know a lot of people that are, and they are actually quite healthy for you. And they piece de resistance. The whole reason why I walk into Circle K is their coffee station. Their coffee is amazing. Plus, it will beat Starbucks prices every time. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed this one and gotten some good ideas for your next road trip or plane trip. If you want some more budget-friendly ideas for meals and tricks to make your budget stretch further, check out this video and I'll see you next time.